Hi, I'm Cindy. This is the first time I've ever made a video like this, but I wanted to share something. I read a lot on the Facebook groups, especially with new teachers, how much time they're spending in prep. And it stresses me out a little bit because one of the things that's important to me is I want to do a very good job at any job that I do. And so I do try hard to do my best. However, you also have to make it worth your time and your effort for the amount of money that you're getting paid. And so there has to be some sort of a balance in how much time and effort you're willing to put into giving these classes in order to receive the pay that we're getting. And so I'm definitely not complaining. This job has been a huge blessing to me, and I absolutely love it. But that being said, I want to do the best job I can, but with the minimum effort allowed to be able to achieve excellence in that job, if that makes sense. In other words, I'm not going to invest so much time into this that I end up making $1 an hour. I'm just not going to do it. That's not wise. And so anyway, I just wanted to create a video to show how I do my class prep. I won't go into like how I do props and stuff. I don't plan them ahead of time, certainly. I just have them all around me in a very organized fashion, and I'm able to I know where everything is, grab it and use it in whatever classes. But I don't like prep, and I just don't do a lot of prep besides just having everything at hand. As far as preparing, the main thing to me that is a stressor is getting together a reward, making sure I have an reward ready for my students. So I'm just actually going to do my prep that I do for my classes tomorrow morning. I generally give classes 3 days a week in the mornings, and then I do one overnighter on the weekends to meet my goals. So I'm going to show you the document that I keep open in Word, and then how I do my prep every day. And that's just basically it. And so this is not for everyone. I am not the very best VIPKID teacher there is, definitely. And some people have other ways of doing it, but I know I would have appreciated just a glimpse into somebody's system to give me some ideas to take for my own. So anything that you can use, go for it. So I keep a Word document, very basic Word document with a table and all of these columns. And so I toggle back and forth between that and my VIPKID teacher page here. And so tomorrow I'm just going to go through and check. I have 4:35, 5:36, 6:30 slots filled. Those are my normal slots that I do in a morning. So George, Angela, Clark, Dora, Han. I'm just going to go in here and George, Angela, Clark, Dora, and Han. Now, several of those are familiar to me. I can look right here and just see that none of these are new students. None of them say new to you or anything like that. So I know that I've had them all before. So one thing that I keep here at the bottom of my document is, and again, this is not going to be for everyone. Some people don't like the thought of, being repetitive in your feedback. Honestly, for me, it's all about making it, the best I can do with, like I said, the minimum amount of my time extra. So this works for me. I've never gotten any bad feedback about being repetitive or saying the same thing over and over again. And I've also read that some teachers do something like this. They have a template for their feedback. But they switch it up. They change it up once a week or something, so it's a little different. Honestly, I don't do that very often. I've maybe done it 3 times since I started. But this is just the beginning and the end of my feedback, and everything in the middle is very specific for the student and the lesson. So to me, it helps me to get organized and get started. So I just put in the general beginning sentence of my feedback and go in and just fill in the names. So I'm going to put name, George, he did a lesson about. Angela, she. Clark, he. And Dora, she. And lastly, Han, he. Okay, then I've got my basic intro there to my feedback. I'm going to add more to that in just a minute. The next thing I want to look at, just to give me a reminder in case these are not super regular students, is what level they are in. So I'll put that in. I've got 3, 5, 3, 4, 4. 3, 5, 3, 4, 4. Now, three of these students are very regulars, are repeats for me. Or regular students that I know really well. One I'm sort of getting to know, but I know who he is, and the other one I'm not sure. So for those reasons, now what I said before, the thing that mostly makes me want to prep before class is thinking about what I want to do for a reward. So what I'll do is I go in, I clicked on the name of the first student there. Sorry, my internet got kind of slow. And if I don't always fill this part in if it's a regular student, what number of class it is with me. But if I've open on this screen anyway, I know this is class number 40. Usually that only matters to me if it's within the first few lessons, just to remind me, how well do I know this student? Sometimes you've had a student 10 times, but spread way out and you don't really remember them very well. The next thing I want to do, and I have the habit of putting this in my teacher to teacher feedback, so you'll notice it'll be right here, my previous tips. What I basically do is copy and paste what I've written to the parent in the parent feedback. And then at the very end, I'll type in something about what I did for the reward last time. I see here that with George last time, we ran out of time for Connect 4. We have to hurry through these vocabulary lessons. So I might try Connect 4 with him one more time. And so I'm just going to write a little note to myself that I want to do a Connect 4 game with him. We're going to try it again. So he already knows how to play it. I make that note to myself just to remind me he's seen it before. We're just going to say, if we have time, we'll do this. And if we don't have time, we won't do it. All right. So moving on, I go now to my next student. Next student is Angela. Excuse me. She is the one that I am not as familiar with. And I will know why when I look here, because I've only had her one time before. So that's where this class number is important to me. It reminds me she's fairly new. I may have to remind her of my name, remind her who I am. Let's see. The first time with her, I did butterfly stickers. Now, she is a more advanced student, level 5. So I think I'll do Connect 4 with her also. That's always a big hit, especially with older or more advanced students. Okay, so just going through the list here, just very quickly. Clark, obviously I'm talking through this, so it's going a lot slower than what it does when I'm doing it on my own. But now I'm clicking on Clark here. I've had him 10 times before, so this will be class 11. And let's look at rewards for him. In my last teacher to teacher feedback, it says we did roll face again, maybe one more time. Okay, so this student really likes roll a face. And so I'm going to do roll a face, and I'm going to type again to remind me we've done this before. If you don't know what roll a face is, this is great for younger students. I stole this from somebody. Obviously, it was a photo, and I printed it. That's why it came out so dark. But it just gives you numbers and little face parts. So you roll a dice and then put them all together and make a funny face. I've actually, when I have the time, I want to make some more roll of face ones and do some different parts and stuff. Especially younger kids really like to do that. And you can do it several times because it always comes out different. Okay, so that's Clark. Now I'm going on to Dora. Next one, I've had her lots and lots. Taking a minute to load here. So I've had our 84. This will be 85. It says last time, no time for roll face, Cindy. So we often run out of time with Dora. And so again, I'm putting it's class number 85 with her. And I'm going to say roll a face at the end to remind me that we keep running out of time. And so don't spend a lot of time at the beginning on a reward because we need to get those slides done first. And then lastly, Han, I've had many, many, many times, know him really well. And Han is such a regular that he has had about all of my rewards. And he likes to choose for himself. And so I'm just going to put a question mark there to ask him what he would like for a reward. Now I'm just going to save my work here just in case. I'm just about done with prep. Now, the next thing that I will do is I want to fill in the feedback beginner. Now, what I do with this feedback beginner is I basically, when I'm getting ready to start a class, I just triple click on it, copy, and then when I'm in my classroom here, I will just, as soon as the lesson is started, as we're saying, hi, how are you today? What did you do today? Or whatever. What I'm doing while I'm carrying on that conversation is opening up feedback. I have it over here on the side in the chat while I'm giving class, and I'm pasting in that intro. And then I'll scroll down and hit on level, excellent, excellent, excellent. I go ahead and leave that as excellent. And then if I see during the lesson they're not doing so well on something, I'll go back and adjust that. But the go-to, assuming that the student does a wonderful job on everything, the go-to will be excellent. And so I just have to remember to go back in and take down anything that it was not excellent in the lesson. And obviously I make sure in my comments that I'm typing, which I normally do during class, if at all possible. Now, to be fair, I have a lot of older students, or a lot of more higher level students. It's a lot harder to do when you're doing level 2s, or even sometimes level 3s, where you're having to, be animated and have props, whatever in there. They don't even read for, 30 seconds. So anyway, as they're reading or whatever, as I'm speaking to them, I'm also typing in little details about the lesson in my feedback. That's how I do that. But anyway, so I want to go in here and add a little more to this beginning line of feedback. So let's see, I want to just glance through my classes for tomorrow. This is a class number 2. So he's right at the beginning of that unit, but nothing special about lesson 2. Now, Angela's a lesson 12. So this is a unit assessment 2. I'll make a note of that just to remind myself, we're going to do an assessment here, so we got to get rolling. And the Connect 4 will be on the transition slides or whatever. So that just reminds me that. I will also, let me just finish glancing through here to see if any more assessments. Now, Clark is a lesson 1. And so I want to remind myself that this is his first lesson in a new unit. So I need to actually say that to him. This is a new unit. Look what this is about. And it will also help me to adjust what I'm speaking about, realizing this is maybe the first time he's seen any of this. So that really helps me to be aware of bring a first lesson. Dora's a lesson 4 and Hannah's a lesson 4. So there's nothing special there. So what I'll also do here is adjust the end, because as you can see, I say, it was so nice to see George today. In today's class, he did a lesson about, and I can look back and says, I can see you, I can hear you. That's a lesson about the 5 senses. So I'm going to type in here about the 5 senses, period. And now I've got my intro to his feedback. It was nice to see Angela's today. In today's class, she did assessment 2 for unit, and I'll toggle back and look. What unit is it? It's unit 4. So for unit 4, I'm going to erase lesson about, and actually it doesn't say what that unit is about. If you look here on this page, it just says lesson 12 learning cycle assessment. It doesn't say what it's about. So I'll see that when I go actually to review the lesson here in a minute. All right, so Clark's is about how things move. So he did the first lesson in a new unit about movement. So I've got my intro there. All right, so Dora's is about my country, and Hans is about fairy tales. So about her country and about fairy tales. Now that's basically this document. Again, most important thing that's important to me is making sure I have a reward that's appropriate for their level, appropriate for what we've done before, and ready to go. And so I know what I'm doing right when I get started in the class. I'm going to save this again. Now, the last thing I would do in my prep, and again, this will come with time. If you're a newer teacher and you don't have a lot of experience with all of the units and lessons yet, or with how they flow, this part will probably take you a little more time than it does me. I have seen just about all of the lessons, I feel like, or if not, I've seen the one before it and the one after it. And so as you probably have noticed, there's definitely a flow in the major level courses, especially with how lessons go from one to another, the material that's going to be covered. The lessons are very repetitive for a reason. It's also helpful to know that, so that you're not feeling like, this is the first time they've ever seen this, that, these, and those. I've got to teach the heck out of this and get out my whiteboard and do whatever. It's helpful to know, oh, they're in lesson 9 of this unit. They have probably seen this, that, these, and those. Now's the 9th time. So that's helpful to me to know. I always pay attention to what lesson in the unit they're on. I'm just talking here while things are loading, but what I just did is I just went through and I actually started from the latest class to the earliest class and just clicked on materials. So I have all the materials here open in these tabs. Excuse me. And so, because I'm just going to click through these lessons. And again, I feel like I'm pretty familiar, especially with the major course lessons in most of the units. And so I just flip through very quickly. The only reason I do that is I'm still just a little bit paranoid. I don't want to not look at them at all, because VIPKID is also doing some changes in their curriculum. And there have been some lessons that they've changed slides completely because of some error or because of a teacher complaint or whatever. And so I just want to glance through and see if anything is really different, or something that I'm not familiar with or don't remember what they're supposed to do on the slide. So obviously beginning poem. Now I can see that, okay, this is obviously a place value lesson. We've got 5 1s, etc., 10s. And so I'm just glancing through here. All of that about place value, that's easy enough to teach. Okay, we've got a verb. You've got the verb with different subjects. That's very basic. They're used to doing that. All right, so quiet and loud sounds. At this point, this is a lesson 2. That might be a first for them, so I'll spend a little time on that. What kind of sound? All right, we've got this, that, these, and those. Speaking of, long and short vowel sounds, reading those, long and short. Okay, they're obviously reading some numbers here. Well, I don't remember this slide very well, so I'm just going to glance at the tip. What number is it? Say the place value. Okay, so they're reading numbers there, looking at place value, and that's it. So I feel like I'm ready for that class. Now, I talked you through that, so that took a lot longer. But honestly, this whole thing of preparing for 5 students at a time, let's say I give 5 classes in the mornings, literally, I can usually do it if I have a late student one morning that I'm waiting for. I usually get all of this done waiting for a late student. Or if not, maybe add, a minute or 2 minutes after my classes to just do this real quick and have this ready to go for the following morning. So I won't bore you with going through all of mine. I'm going to actually go through them. So just this next one was the assessment. I told you I didn't know what it was about because it's not listed on the front website. Here I can see in the objective, it's about insects. So I'll go back into my Word document here and say that she did the assessment for Unit 4 about insects. And that completes my intro and my feedback. So then, like I said, next morning when I open up the first class, as soon as I say hello to George, I will have copied this intro to his feedback. As I'm saying hello to him, I'm pasting it in the feedback thing, putting in all my excellence. And then, by the way, when I'm getting towards the end of class, or if I have to do feedback after class, which I don't usually, the other thing I have here is I have an ending, because I like to end my feedback basically the same way every time. I do some adjusting here depending on how the student did. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this, but if it's a first-time student, this second option, I only change it to, instead of nice to see, it's nice to meet. And then my ending basically says the name, focused and participated well, worked hard to earn all 5 stars. I hope you're satisfied, and we'll leave a 5-apple review also. Hope to see him or her in class again very soon. Have a lovely day. Thank you. I put my teacher full name, and then I actually added this recently. Please look for me on WeChat. I got WeChat and I don't have a single contact, so I've been throwing that in there, but Nothing so far. And I don't even know how to use it. So anyway, but that's my ending. So as I'm finishing up feedback, I'll toggle back to this document, do a real quick triple click there, copy, tag it in at the end of my feedback, fill in the little blanks, and ready to go. So anyway, that's my system. Take whatever works for you. Don't take anything if that's not your style. I'm perfectly good with that. But I just thought I'd throw that out there for anybody who's new or doesn't really have a system or feels overwhelmed with prep, because I think it's sad. I don't want you to use up so much of your time that it's not enjoyable or worth it for you to be doing this job. Anyway, feel free to comment, questions, whatever, criticize. It's fine. Y'all have a lovely day. Bye.